So, so what does rope flowing and even a golf swing have in common? Well, let me talk to you about it. So what does rope flowing or even golf swings have in common? Well, again, these are just some examples that are activity oriented that actually is kind of an unconventional method of actually doing any type of rehab. So particularly, for example, my shoulder or anybody else's shoulder. So typically, we always start off with any type of conventional means of doing any type of shoulder rehab for physical therapy. It's a great way for us to engage and see, again, the ability of the injured person or patient or athlete, like myself, to see where we're at. And then, of course, from there, sometimes it can get a little stale, it can get a little boring, and that's when the fun begins, where we could actually apply certain activities to help improve the rehab of certain regions of the body. And just like a lot of the patients I treat, I get that recurring shoulder pain. And of course, with that recurring shoulder pain, I do the conventional physical therapy for it. But just like everybody else, I could also get a little bit bored. And that's why I resort to other movements that are activity oriented that still targets the range of motion, such as rope flowing. So here I am doing, as I'm doing the dragon rolls into the sneaks, they are actually forcing me to get the better range of motion, especially into external rotation, actually internal rotation and to adduction or adduction with my shoulder for both sides, besides using it. So the other portion too is the golf swing. Now, in theory, a golf swing, you're supposed to be able to swing it both sides, right to left. If you do correctly, your back should be fine, your shoulders should be fine. And here, again, as I've been playing golf for years already, having a good golf swing is important, not just for playing, but also to be pain-free. All right, so those are some great examples again. Rope flowing is one example, for instance. Even the golf swing is another great example. Now, again, I'm going to share a little bit of story. Years ago, when I used to cycle a lot, I got into an accident, hurt my shoulder. Thankfully, it wasn't dislocated or any other major injuries. However, I had a hard time with my range of motion and movement with my shoulder. And of course, as a practicing chiropractor, that's actually very difficult. So of course, I went through the conventional means of getting rehab, getting treated by the office where I used to work out, even self-treating myself. I also had a golf outing that I was going to in a matter of a few weeks. So I didn't want to miss that one out. So by the time I actually went to the golf outing, I had slightly improved my range of motion. But I decided, you know what, let me just go ahead and make sure I work my swing, because golf is a difficult sport, but you can also take your time in focusing your movement and your intent. Well, lo and behold, after about the 9 holes, although it was painful, a couple of my friends were even asking me about my shoulder, since they knew I was injured. And I realized, wait a minute, my shoulder had full range of motion. It was actually even pain-free because of that proper swing that I was actually focusing on. So that was, to my mind, like, wow, that's great. So in theory, your golf swing should give you 0 back pain, neck pain, hip pain, ankles pain, including shoulders. So doing it the right way, for example, can actually even help with rehab too. But again, that's anecdotal, and that's basically just another means of, again, using a proper activity to help regain proper movement and help rehabbing an injured part of your body. There's a lot of different examples. If you have a hip injury, you can certainly do a lot of different things. Some animal flow, for example, which we're getting into a bit more, even to Landmine University. Even some martial arts movements also with kicks and improving your range of motion that way. Because again, these are all proper body mechanics and movements, which is really isn't just for accomplishing a certain activity, but in actuality, it's also helping improve a range of motion. So again, these are all things why we want to have a little bit of fun when we rehab. So any other questions, feel free to reach out. Thanks again.